First off, the NCAA is not a great organization. It never has been. I know for a fact they've been able to profit and monopolize, years over the name, image, and likeness over teams, over players, and they've been able to, whether it's TV deals and whatnot, it had to go to court for things to happen. And I'm never going to defend the NCAA. Hell, I'm going to both say my problems with the NCAA here and my problems with whatever, right? Here's the story. So Damon Williams signs a near $4 million deal to return to Washington this year after this season, the offseason. First off, we're signing deals now. Is this free agency? And he announces he's actually entering the transfer portal. A lot of people assume it's for LSU. A lot of people probably, Lane realizes that Trinidad Chambliss wants to stay at Ole Miss or is going to the draft. Damon Williams, great year. You're probably going to LSU. We'll see. This after Braden Sorsby just signed like a $6 million deal with Texas Tech. It's crazy. Here's my thing. Apparently, there was language in the contract that said that the buyout that's required to let Damon Williams out of the contract is purely at the discretion of Washington, and they do not have to assist in helping him leave or putting his name in the transfer portal. They do not have to do that. One of the things that everyone talks about is Xavier Lucas to Miami. I think Wisconsin sued Miami, I believe, and he broke the term of his deal and went to Miami. I still think that's ongoing in terms of that court case. And then we talk about Nico Iamaleava to UCLA or whatnot last year too as well. But here's my issue. As much as I want to say the NCAA is wrong or whatever, this does two things. This talks to me about two things right now, or three actually, I would say. The number one thing is there's been a lot of tampering. There's always tampering in college football, and there's no way to regulate it. These players have agents now, and they have social media. A coach could literally DM them and be like, whatever. Granted, in recruiting, there used to be rules against that. I don't know if people still follow that. There's the tampering issue. Then there's the NIL regulation issue, because if this, I don't know what happens here, but does it now hurt how we regulate NIL because someone signed this deal and now they're not doing it. They're not how do you even enforce this? Another thing is the contract aspect. You signed a contract. It's legal. You are legally binded to play football at Washington because you are being paid $4 million to damn near do it. The terms of the contract says the team does not need to, they don't need to force you to stay. They can't force you to stay there, but they cannot help you in terms of putting your name in the portal and whatever. Another thing a lot of people are saying, I'm seeing a lot of people say, is why doesn't he just decommit or unenroll from Washington and enroll at LSU or enroll wherever he wants to transfer? That basically, like, the portal is not the only way to switch schools. And if that were to happen, especially when you sign a contract and there's a bunch of stipulations in that contract, and I'm sure there's a lot of things, I just don't know. This is not amateur anymore, obviously, but that's kind of messed up. It's like, do we change the transfer portal? Do we start doing if you sign a contract, you transfer, whatever, you're going to have to sit a year? Do we need to start bringing back the pre-COVID era transfer rules where you have to sit a year? Because there is no way that after a team, why recruit? Like, that's literally what I have to say with this. Whether you're a group of 5 team or a team like Washington, who's probably not gonna, turn heads next year. I'm not gonna pick them to win the Big Ten or whatever. Why recruit? Why sign someone to $4 million, a $4 million deal, and they enter the portal 3 days later because maybe a coach maybe DM'd them and said, "Hey, come to whatever. We'll give you a bigger deal." Like, what's the point of recruiting? Why is it the fact that if you sign something, people are saying now you should unenroll and that's how you get out of it when you signed that is my whole thing. You signed a contract. Like, do we not, a man is only as good as his word or whatever, all that jazz, but you signed a contract. I don't know how Washington said that they're going to take every legal avenue available. Does the NCAA step in? How do they enforce this? How do you enforce someone playing at your school when they sign an NIL deal? Because, hey, I know from firsthand experience that sometimes when you pay some of these kids money to do something for NIL or whatever, it doesn't always get done, but that money still gets pocketed. So I just don't know what happens here. The NCAA, the reason why realignment and TV deals are as crazy as it is now is because they had a monopoly on it and they didn't want to, share it and all. They didn't want to be fair. And then NIL happened because you were profiting and you took away somebody's Heisman. just the minimum of it. And you handed down death penalties to schools and whatnot because of how, impermissible benefits and all that jazz, all that language just to say you don't want to have to give money. And now something like the Damon Williams situation is happening where I forgot to mention this. It's a revenue share thing. It's not even about like an NIL deal with a company or whatever. With revenue sharing now a part of this, it is coming directly from the school's pockets. Why the heck wouldn't they? I don't know how they enforce it, but something needs to happen. And it's actually it's a tiny thing that could lead to a lot of crazy things happening, because if the NCAA then says, you know what, we aren't doing anything, sorry, UW, you're just gonna have to let him go, it could really cause like a collapse. Or the NCAA could say, hey, we actually want to regulate this now. And teams that are, Texas Tech, who's like, oh yeah, we'll spend $22 million to build a roster, or recruiting or whatever. It's just different. I think at this point, it makes no sense to recruit. It makes no sense to stay at a school. It makes no sense to do whatever unless there's regulation. And the NCAA is teetering the wrong line, because a guy like Trinidad Chablis, who is doing things, I would say, the right way. He's grinding and he has the talent, and he obviously has the medical documentation. Now they want to be hard asses about it. So we shall see.